Okay, today's video is all about the PathFollowed alignment assessment. If you haven't already taken the assessment, you got to go to PathFollowed.com and take the assessment before you go any further. Let me show you how to go do that. Okay, go to PathFollowed.com, top right hand corner, hit resources. It'll make you log in. Once you do, right there under assessments, click alignment. It'll take you right to the survey. Okay, so what is alignment? People typically think about alignment something like this. The problem with thinking about alignment this way is really that's consensus, because the whole idea there is like everybody's getting in line, and the whole idea is hey, we all agree. And that's not necessarily what alignment is. When we're talking about alignment, alignment has more to do with the fact that you may not all agree on the decision that's being made. However, you support still the direction in which everything is going, and more importantly, you're committed to making sure that that's the direction that everybody is going. And so people get these things confused because it's like, oh, I'm just supposed to get in line and not think for myself. No, that's not the idea here. The idea is, again, when you're aligned with an organization and their principles and what they stand for and what they believe in, you're not always going to agree on everything in the decision making per se. But the idea is that you ultimately know where this company is going, and so you agree and go, okay, hey, maybe I don't quite see this. However, I do align with the organization, kind of how they think, and so I can get behind this. And again, as you go, what typically happens is you'll begin to see, oh, okay, yeah, this is where this is going. Okay, I see how this is happening because you have that alignment. So it's important to know the difference between like alignment and maybe what you typically think, in the little graphic I show there. And that's important because that's where principles come in. And this is where principles come in. So principle is basically a fundamental truth. That's all it is. It's a fundamental truth or belief. It serves as a foundation for how you make decisions. And again, anytime I'm talking about leadership, I always talk about principles because people don't realize how much principles really influence the way you lead. It's just you do it without even thinking. And so the whole idea here is, again, every company has like their core values, right? You go to the website and they have their core values. Here's what we believe. And where you work, you need to know what those core principles are. You need to know and understand what they believe, because again, if you are trying to move up in that organization, your alignment with that organization and how well you just can exhibit those core values is crucial. And so let's take an example. Like let's look at Google, some of the core values they have. Everybody knows Google. So let's take a look at these. Okay, so let's take a look at Google's, what do they say here? The 10 things we know to be true. So I find that very interesting. Again, it's what it's all about. If you align with the things that they believe to be true, if you also believe that they're true, then again, that alignment, it's really going to help you go a long way in a place like Google. And so one of the ones I found pretty interesting is if you go down a little ways here, you can make money without doing evil. That's a very interesting truth that they believe, right? And so when you read through like what it has here and how it talks about what they believe and what this truth is, if you work at Google, you aligning here is going to be crucial. And so if you believe that you can help them make money without doing evil, you're going to be in alignment. You're going to understand the decision making that goes on there, and you're going to make progress. And so anyway, that's just kind of a quick, how principles play into the decision making, what alignment's really all about. And so let's take a look at the three kind of groups that you potentially fell into after you took the PathFollowed survey that we offer. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Based on your results that you got from PathFollowed assessment, what do you do if you wound up in the poor category? So let's just jump into it. I'm just going to give basically a couple steps on what you could do. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Wrote down some things here. the first step that you need to do is really you need to find out your principles. Again, I just explained how important it is to understand what it is you believe, because alignment all has to do with then where you work and what they believe. Because again, that alignment is how you move up in a company. It's how you understand their decision making. It's how you operate in regards to getting things done, your decision making. If it aligns with their decision making and how they think about problems and solutions, it just all around it helps. So if you're in the poor category, you first need to understand your core principles or your values. And that could be a difficult thing for some people to figure out. It's like, well, how do I figure that out? How do I know what they are? And so here's a couple like questions you can ask. This isn't everything. It's just to kind of set you off on the right path, okay? Ask yourself this question. What would I never compromise on if my life or reputation was at stake? That's something you need to think about. How you answer that's going to tell you a lot about your principles and your values. Another question, or this one's an action. You can make a list of things that are non-negotiable in your life. Kind of same idea, but if you make the list, again, the idea here is that you're going to take some time, you're going to sit down and you go like, what do I not compromise on? Those are core values, those are principles. And then another one that's kind of interesting is if you just ask yourself, what do I want to be remembered for? So if you're saying something like, I want to be remembered as being honest or have integrity, those are core principles. Those are values that are important to you. And so when you set off to work for an organization, right, if they're all about, hey, we're all about integrity or transparency or, anything similar in that sense, you're going to do good there. You're going to align. It's a good place to be. So step one, you have to know your principles, your values. Step two, you need to take a look at where you work. So where you work, you need to look at what are their truths, what are their core beliefs. Take a look at your, place of work, their website. What do they have posted? What are they talking about? And then when you do that, you also kind of need to look to see, are they aligned with what they say they believe? Because it's common to have people in leadership positions who don't necessarily align with what they post as their core values or their beliefs. And so take a moment, look at what's out there and look at the leaders. So like a level above or maybe two levels above, are they exhibiting those values? That's what you want to do. If you see that you have some values that align there with the organization, that's a good, that's you're still in a pretty good position. If it doesn't really align with the next level of leadership, that's not as great. However, you can still grow and excel in that company, because if they truly believe what they have posted out there, you making decisions in that way, they'll start to see that alignment with where the organization wants to go, maybe not necessarily that next level of leadership. So you need to take a look at that. If you don't align there, it may be time to look for a place that has better alignment. Again, it's crucial. It just helps as people are trying to grow in their careers, trying to get that next promotion. It's important to know those things. So if you're in that poor category, poor alignment, those are the two main things you want to do. Let's jump on to the next one. Moderately aligned. If you wound up in the moderately aligned group, this is pretty good, and I would say this is probably where most of us end up, right? And the first step here would be you probably need to reevaluate your principles, meaning you need to take another look at what your principles are, because if you're in the moderate, then that means you probably have a pretty good idea of what your principles and what your values are, but it's always good to reevaluate. So you got to look back at maybe some of your most recent decisions and ask yourself, like, what was the motivation for me to like make those decisions? Was it maybe honesty? Was it your ambition? That's interesting, right? Or did you make these decisions because you were trying to move up in the company you wanted to be seen? What was really behind some of those decisions that you were making? And finding those things out helps you see, are your principles and priorities, are they growing? Are they changing? Because that happens. So step one, reevaluate what your principles are. See what's motivating those decisions that you've recently made. Big decisions. You always want to look at like big decisions that you made. And then step two would be you need to double check again your place of work. So you need to look at wherever you work, take a look at their website or look at, leadership. What are their principles? What are they saying their core values are? And then again, see if there's that alignment there. Because here's the idea. If you're moderately aligned, that means you're on the right track, but you need to then take a look at, okay, where is my career path in this? Where am I trying to go? What position do I see me getting next, right? Or, if you're looking for a raise, what's that additional responsibility I can take on that I can show my skill set? So you have to then take a look at what the next step is, because the odds are, if you're in the moderately aligned, you're probably in a pretty good organization where you have that alignment. You need to reevaluate yours and then look at, is there a growth path for you where you're at in that position? So those are the two things you need to do. And then the other thing I would say is, if you take a look and you start to notice, like, maybe you don't really align, or your priorities are changing and you're like, I don't know if this is a place for me, or you don't see that next role or next position or next department, then it might be time to look for some opportunities for alignment somewhere else. Okay, so for the highly aligned, if you took the assessment, you're in the highly aligned group, this is great. You're in a great position, because when you have high alignment, this is when things become fun, because that means you're in your zone. How you make decisions align with the company. You can get a lot of traction. You can really motivate other people. You can really inspire them to take next steps. This is great. When you have that, like you like getting up and going to work in the morning when you're highly aligned. And so step one would be always reevaluate your principles. Take a look again at, are your principles changing? Are you growing in a certain area where you got to go, wow, okay, maybe I don't really make decisions like that anymore. Or, what's really motivating me to take these actions? And so reevaluate your principles. It's always good to do that self-reflection. Step two, though, when you're highly aligned, is it's time to look ahead. You know who you are. You know what drives you. You understand the company. You understand what drives them. And so now you need to look ahead. Basically, you need to put yourself in leadership positions. When you can put yourself in leadership positions, or you're taking more responsibility, you're going to have the most impact. Again, because of the alignment. And so it's crucial for you at this stage to then start to build your own personal brand. Meaning, if you align with the company, let's say on, you really value, let's say, innovation. Okay, the company is really big on innovation. You now need to start to build your personal brand around that alignment. Meaning, you then speak up and say, hey, I'll take the next project, and you implement some sort of innovative approach or innovative tools or an innovative practice, maybe something cutting edge. So you take that ownership, lean into that, and lean into it with the alignment that you have. That builds your personal brand, because you're basically showcasing how the company thinks, lives, breathes, feels, and how they accomplish goals. That helps the company, and that helps you, because then people will see you as, oh man, how's this guy getting that stuff done? The alignment is there. And so once you start building that personal brand, the other thing you need to do is, again, if you're taking those leadership roles, is you need to guide and grow those principles in your team. That's what leadership's all about. Guiding and growing principles in others. Because what has made you successful is those core values, those beliefs, those principles. You're taking those, and then you're growing those in the team. So then your team is moving as a unit towards those goals that the company values, towards those initiatives that the company values. And so put yourself in those positions, take those risks by saying, I'll take ownership of that and lead into that direction. Once you're highly aligned, it's only growth from there, and it actually makes work fun. So those were the 3 different groups that you could wind up in the assessments. I hope this was helpful. If it was, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll bring you more content on alignment, leadership, management, and everything you guys need to know about. Until next time.